So we gather on this Saturday evening, and we probably can say a little prayer of gratitude that, as the Sun Sentinel said yesterday or today, that we're beginning to fall into fall slowly. But there is a difference, and it is a welcome change. I think we all can really say that. So we gather tonight, and we listen to God's Word. The first two readings extremely short. And the Gospel, if we listened to the past couple of weeks, the Gospel was talking to us about, Jesus was talking about being childlike, okay, and trusting in God. And here tonight, we have this question that's asked by James and John. Now, these are two of the men who have been with Jesus basically from the very beginning. You might remember in the Gospel, when Jesus first starts on his journey, he sees Andrew, who goes to tell Peter, hey, something's happening here. There's this guy who's preaching, and it sounds pretty good. And then the two of them go to tell James and John. And where are James and John? They're out there fishing with their father. And immediately, what do? Leave the boat and go on with Jesus. These are the same two people who asked the question today. I want to sit at your right and your left when you come into your glory. I don't know how many of you have ever taught school, but it's like that you want to hit yourself and say, after all this time, they still don't get it. These two men were literally spiritually blind. They just couldn't see what Jesus was talking to them about. He's been talking to us and talking to them about being faith-filled people, about having that confidence of a child who trusts. And here again, they come up with a question. And it's just incredible that they don't get it. And I guess we could say the same thing for us here. I'm not going to really expound on this a lot, but I kind of figured tonight we'd have a full house. Why? Because there's no Mass tomorrow. In fact, Stephen told me the same thing. He said, I got here early because I thought we were going to... Guess what? We just don't get it. So we can't have Mass on Sunday, so probably we'll take the weekend off. Maybe that's being presumptuous. But I'm really, really disappointed that we can't make a change in our schedule. That we become spiritually blind. It's either our way or the highway. And it gets discouraging. But again, I don't want to focus in on that. Because if I do, my pressure will go up. Sometimes, we've heard in the scriptures certain of our fundamentalist brothers and sisters talk about predestination. That we are either going to be on the right or the left. Jesus calls us that we're predestined for success. We're predestined to live with God forever. But it's still up to us, right? You remember there was a question asked to a young woman in the scriptures, Mary of Nazareth. Would she do what God wanted her to do? She was called to give an answer. And the answer she gave was, yeah, okay, I don't understand it, but I'm going to do it. So as people, as a parish community, we're called, as Mary was, to commitment. We're called, as Mary was, to really be there and to accomplish what God is asking us to do. And maybe in our case here, as we're in this year of discernment in our parish from October 4th to October 4th, we also have to look at our commitment and how much we're willing to put forth. I don't know how many of you read the bulletin, but if you look at the bulletin, the building fund this past week was $2,800.13, or $31, whatever it was. And you say to yourself, wow, you know what? Somebody made a commitment and gave us a good-sized check to help us in our goal of seeing what we're going to do this year. Commitment. That's what Mary did when the angel spoke to her. She was committed. And that's what we're called to do now. Every one of us. Yeah, we might want to succeed. We might want to have it more our own way. It's the little way that Jesus calls us to. Remember, I don't know how many of you are familiar with saints, but we'll talk about St. Teresa. A little flower. 24 years old, never did anything extraordinary. Never. Okay? She was a cloistered nun. She died at 24. And you know what she is today? She's a doctor of the church. Because she taught in her little way of accepting what God had asked her to do. We're being asked the same thing. What are we going to do to make our commitment stronger? Or we're just going to continue asking questions. I want to sit at the right and the left, and whatever everybody else does, fine. But that's not it. We're not looking for places of glory. We're looking for places to serve. We're looking to be people who are committed. It's up to us. Are we going to ask questions? Or are we going to move forward? I know what I'm doing. Haven't stopped doing it yet. And please God, I never will. Walk with me, walk with the brothers, and hopefully we'll all become successful in the eyes of God. And while you do that, pray for me as I pray for you. May God bless us and keep us. May God's face shine upon us and give us peace, now and always. Amen. Amen.